Hi everyone, I'm David Aragona, and pleased to be joined for a couple of fairgrounds previews by Marcus Hersh, who is always focused on this winter action at fairgrounds. And it is Risen Star Day coming up Saturday, so Marcus will join us for a preview of that race, but also an Oaks Prep, which we're going to take a look at right here, the Grade 2 Rachel Alexandra. Before we get into this preview, though, do note that there is a sale going on this President's Day weekend at DRF right on through President's Day Monday. You can get 15% off everything in the DRF store. Just use that coupon code PRES25 at shop.drf.com. Well, Marcus, 7 fillies were drawn in this Oaks Prep race, the Grade 2 Rachel Alexandra going the 1.16 distance. And the headline attraction is obviously the number 2 Good Cheer, going out for the powerful Brad Cox stable, who really had an embarrassment of riches with the 2-year-old filly division last year. I think some people felt that Good Cheer might have been the best of the bunch, even though she was not the one that won the Eclipse Award at season's end. That obviously went to her stablemate Immersive, but she's kicking off her 3-year-old campaign here, looking like the early Kentucky Oaks favorite.
It would be close probably between her and another Cox filly, Muhima, who is supposed to run in the Honeybee, I think, at Oaklawn for her first start since the Demoiselle. I guess we should mention that the Demoiselle runner-up, who would have been a potentially major player here, Ballerina Dioro, is not starting. She didn't ship from Florida for trainer Chad Brown, who said that she got a fever right before shipping, which the timing's a little odd because she didn't work. She worked on the 1st and then not the 8th, and he didn't ship till after the work. So I don't know. Anyway, she's plans are her TBD. She's not back at the track yet, but she did make a nice run first time blinkers, and the Demoiselle would have been one of the top 3 betting choices. But the race just got easier for David, the horse you were just talking about, Good Cheer, who really did little wrong in her 4-win, 4-start 2-year-old campaign, which began at Horseshoe, Indiana, much like Monomoy Girl, a 2-time champion who won this race in her 3-year-old debut. And I think that, there's some decent horses that debut in Indiana. I think this one took Cox a little bit by surprise. The Dam Wedding Toast had not produced a horse. He had 2 previous foals of hers, and they didn't amount to much. And because of the kind of horse she is, she's not a big flashy horse like Muhima. She doesn't have a lot of early speed. I just don't think that she really caught the eye early on. However, out on the racetrack, she's all business. And although she is a closer, I've noted that she's gotten progressively handier in her races and is stuck pretty close to the pace, actually. Last time, especially in the Goldenrod, she was really in contention, even going past the half-mile pole. I know there's one work video for her, I believe, on the 19th. That's like the one day they had a camera at Payson Park in the last 2 months. She worked pretty good then. He's said she's worked even better since then. She's definitely, she's been on a great breeze pattern. She's coming into this ready, and she's a deserving favorite.
Let's get a sense of where Good Cheer might be placed in the early stages of this race by checking out the Timeform US pace projector. And I think one of the features of this race that we have to discuss, Marcus, is that there's really not a ton of pace signed on in here. And there are a couple of runners going out for the Ken McPeak barn. So maybe one of them gets a little more aggressive than the PPs might let on. Perhaps that is the long shot number 4, Goel's Delight. But it does seem like if she breaks cleanly, the number 6, Simply Joking, is going to be able to make the front end. And we'll see if she can back down the pace.
Yeah. What do you think of her, David?
I think that she is a horse who obviously improved a lot to win the Silver Bullet Day last time out. And this is a tougher field than that one, but her running style is going to make her very dangerous in here. And you will note that the number 2, Good Cheer, is shown back in 5th place here. The scratch horse obviously is not a factor in this pace projector. The number 3, Ballerina Doro, she would have been out the back door regardless. But Good Cheer is a horse that has shown some tactical speed in her races, but it's definitely not one that is looking to be involved in the pace, and also not a horse that has gotten away from the gate cleanly in all of her starts. So she's not a horse that I project to be pressing Simply Joking, at least through the early stages of this race. So while maybe I think Good Cheer is a more naturally talented horse than Simply Joking, I do have to respect the pace advantage that the Whit Beckman runner appears to have.
Yeah, and I could be wrong, but I'm not sure that she is a naturally more talented horse than Simply Joking. Simply joking. I mean, Whit Beckman, her trainer, has not been out on his own very long, but he worked for Pletcher, he worked for Brown. He's been around a lot of really good horses, and he was exceedingly high on this horse first time out. Um, she came in off the farm with filly Her Laugh, who was a very encouraging troubled second at Tampa. Um, over the last weekend, and these two horses ran on the same card. Her Laugh had already run one of her debut at Churchill last fall. They both came back on the December 21st card, and he had them both entered in the Letellier Stakes, and he ended up running Her Laugh in the Untappable. You know, she won, and she was well spotted, but part of it was like he didn't think that she could have any chance of beating Simply Joking. That's how dominant this filly had been in her work. She's quite big, and I think she has a lot of ability. First time out, you know, she debuted in a stake. The horse that she beat, you know, has not turned out to be that good, but she was in sharp form at the time. She was coming off a good race at Delta, and this filly had done everything so easily in the morning. And when this other horse, What a Moon, you know, fought back at her in like at the 3/16 the eighth pole, I think it really took Simply Joking by surprise. She switched leads. She kind of lost focus, and then she got going again at the end. I thought she was far superior. She showed greenness again last time, and I think this is something that could help her price a little bit, stretching out to 2 turns. I think initially when I watched the race live, I thought, oh, is this horse getting tired? You know, because she lost her momentum, and the runner-up, Bless the Broken, who's in this race too, you know, she was gaining some ground. But I don't think that's what happened at all. I think that this filly just completely lost focus, being out on her own. She tends to look at signboards, apparently. She was looking at the infield board. She looks at the board in the paddock. And if you watch Past the Wire, she's going away again from Bless the Broken with her ears perked. I don't think she was tired at all. I think that she's going to be able to press her pace advantage in this race. And Good Cheer, well, I'm sure she's going to be ready. She's not going to be like super cranked. So I think if Simply Joking is the horse I believe she is, then she'll be able to turn back Good Cheer's run.
Yeah, I mean, these are the two major contenders that I think we've got to spend the most time talking about. And I agree with all of your observations about Simply Joking. She's shown that greenness and switching leads at the ends of her races. I guess you could debate whether it's just greenness or maybe she's getting tired and maybe not really wanting the added distance, because she does have that pedigree with Practical Joke on top, where you wonder a little bit how far she's ultimately going to want to go. I do think that with Good Cheer and a couple of others in here, this might be a tougher spot than the Silver Bullet Day, which I personally thought came up a very weak race, and especially with the Brad Cox horse that took all the money, not really stepping forward off her debut. It didn't really turn out to be the race that it could have been based on the potential of the runners
Yeah,
entered. So Simply
but
Joking to me still has something to prove, but the
she
speed
does.
figures obviously stack up.
She does have something to prove. I don't know how much tougher this race is. Obviously, there's one much tougher horse in Good Cheer, but other than that, it's kind of the same race again, in my opinion. Like, I don't, I'm not especially impressed with any of the other horses, and I will be shocked if one of the top two betting choices doesn't win.
Let's wrap up the discussion of Good Cheer very quickly, because she's going to be an extremely short price in this race. And obviously, when these horses come off layoffs, you want to be a little bit skeptical when they take all that money that they're going to take that step forward from their 2-year-old to 3-year-old season. Marcus, I got to say, watching her races, I kind of maybe didn't appreciate last year
Yeah,
just how good she had gotten. She runs the far turns of her races so efficiently. Maybe it's just really having that comfort level racing on her left lead. I don't know what it is, but that's where she wins the races every single time. She just picks up momentum around that second bend and basically puts the fields away by the time they get to the quarter pole. So maybe that brings her into the race and issues a challenge to Simply Joking earlier than that one is accustomed to, because let's be honest, is even though the pace was moderate last time, Simply Joking really didn't receive a serious challenge at any point in the race, and she's likely to get one from Good Cheer, and we'll see if she can push on by off the layoff.
is that how the pace came up for you guys on time form moderate? Because I thought it was a pretty fast pace. That track was absolutely laboring that day. Really, really slow. I thought she went at a pretty good clip. You're right. She was not challenged at all. And this is exactly how I see it happening too. It's going to be a slingshot move, and we'll see if Jaime Torres on Simply Joking is going to make the most of her speed and try to open up a little, you know, at the 3/8 pole. I will say just, I mean, minor quibble to some extent, but Good Cheer has not beaten a good horse yet. She was in against very easy fields the first three times. Little better in the last race, but Eclatant, the third place horse, does not want to go a step beyond like 7/8 really. And Quiet Side, the runner up, she's just hasn't really developed much since last summer. So, this is probably the best horse that Good Cheer has faced as well.
Yeah, Timeform US did have Simply Joking's last race, just edging towards a fast pace, not quite there. For me,
Yeah,
there was a bit of visual dissonance because when you watch the early portions of that race, everyone had such a strong hold on their horse. It looked like a slow pace visually before you check out the fractions that
yeah,
said otherwise. Marcus, let's quickly talk about the other two sort of tertiary contenders in this race.
sure.
The number 7, Bless the Broken. She was second to Simply Joking last time. Never really a threat to that one, but I guess if you view that race through the lens of the pace holding together, which it really did, aside from Bless the Broken passing a few horses at the end, maybe want to upgrade her a little bit based on that, but she's going to need another step forward.
She is. There's been some conjecture that the inside was bad on that card, especially like later in the day. And I could maybe see that for the last two races, the way they shaped up. But the Philly race was not one of the last two races. It was earlier on that card. She did get an outside run. I believe I don't have the PPs right in front of me. That was second time blinkers. She was maybe first time in the Demoiselle. And I didn't like, I mean, she didn't do anything in the Demoiselle. I don't know why. I didn't see any spark from her at any point. I was surprised how well she ran last time. I will say as well that there is a post Silver Bullet Day workout video for her. She worked with a kind of moderate companion, but she worked really well. I think she just may have been a horse that's blossomed. Can she take the next step forward to like threaten the top two? I doubt it, but to me, she's a very solid third horse.
And Anonyma drawn down towards the inside, she's, I think, going to be the one of the Ken McPeak duo that takes a little more money, especially with Irad Ortiz hopping aboard for this race. And she really has stepped forward with every start. I mean, maybe you could say that the runner-up that was her stablemate when she broke her mate of Take Charge Milady was kind of running when the race was already over, and maybe was the one you wanted to take out of that race moving forward. She obviously did go on to stake success at Oaklawn Park,
Yeah.
but Anonyma took another step forward out of that victory when she beat Allowance Company last time out at Fairgrounds. Again, this is a much tougher spot than that, but she's the kind of horse that appears to make her own good trips, and she figures to get another good pocket trip in this race.
Yeah, just like last time, she really got a perfect trip last time. She did make the most of it, and to me, she's more incrementally, progressive than a horse like Bless the Broken, who took such a big step last time that it makes me wonder if maybe she is like better than I realized. The other horse, I feel like I have a pretty solid baseline, um, which to me like gives her no shot to win.
Let's throw up our picks for this grade to Rachel Alexandra. And Marcus, I'm not going to try to beat Good Cheer. I know she's going to be a super short price in this race. I've just been really impressed with what I've seen from her. And you're not really worried about layoffs usually with the Brad Cox barn. So if
No.
she builds on that 2-year-old form, I think she's going to be tough to beat.
And you're going for a value in the exacta with Anomima.
Yeah, I
In
just
second.
envision her working out a good trip in this race along
Yeah.
the inside. And I personally have some questions about the competition that Simply Joking's been beating. So I thought I'd try to get her out of the
And
second
no,
spot.
I mean, that's totally valid. And I sided with a slightly better win price, but with the lack of other viable contenders, it's not like that Simply Joke is going to be huge value. I just think that with her tactical advantage and the fact that I like her and think that there might be more to her, I just had to take the longer price of the two.
Well, everybody, that's a look at the grade 2 Rachel Alexandra race 13 on Saturday at Fairgrounds. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.